apologize for the technical delay the long technical break we had there. It was due to technical issues. Machines are issues that can, of course, break sometimes, and we apologize. We are here in the studio with Prince Epierre, who is a member of the Popular Action Party, communication officer of the Popular Action Party. Once again, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, Tah Mai Jarvis. Yes, actually, I am the spokesperson. I always love that way of the Popular Action Party, the communication boss. It's always a pleasure. Like you rightly apologize to our viewers who have been watching. Yes. So
okay,
welcome back.
We are now also moving to Mr. Hervé Frank, who is here with us. Mr. Frank, once again, happy Sunday and thanks for joining us. Sorry for the delay.
Thank you, Mr. Jarvis. Technical issue, we cannot really control them because those are things that we doesn't really know how what can happen in the next seconds, especially with the instability of our electric energy. So it is evidence that we have such kind of interruptions.
Now, I continue with you. We are looking at the price of commodities that have increased across the nation. Looking at the fact that we are moving towards an election year. What are we not getting right as a nation with this increase in prices? Is it that the government is focusing on something else? Where should the focus be?
To be honest, Mr. Jarvis, I believe that the government is focusing everywhere and nowhere. You understand? They are focusing everywhere and nowhere. Because when we are talking about the price of commodities, let's just go down to groceries, right? Which the foodstuffs.
Yes.
You see, it is really difficult for a Cameroonian to feed himself.
Yeah.
Yes, because everything is very expensive in the market. Tomato is expensive. Rice have tripled the price. Oil is unbelievable. So it is really difficult for that. So now we are talking in the perspective of governance. I believe that I just recently say, the government is everywhere and nowhere, because when a government is effective, they have to always prevent by putting on feet and operative measures in case of crisis. So in our context, we can see that the government is doing nothing on that. The government is just trying to convince us that it is normal to buy a kilogram of rice for 1,000. It is normal to have the minimum salary of 46,000. It is normal to buy a liter of oil for 1,600 or 1,500. I don't know exactly.
And it is normal to have a bag of rice for 29,000.
Yes, it's normal to have a bag of rice for 29,000. But how can you have all this? Because let's just say if you are eating a kilogram of rice in your house, let's just say a kilogram of white rice in your house, just boil it and eat it. You need gas, right? And if you are taking 1 kilogram for 1,000, let's say the low quality, which I think is 600 or 700 francs, if you multiply by 30, it will give you approximately let's say it will give you almost 16,000, right? It will give you 16 or 15,000 somewhere there. So when you deduct that money, that 15,000 from your minimum salary, which is 46,000, you deduct the petrol or gas, house rents and everything. You see that you cannot even meet up with that kind of money. What is missing in our country is that the government have completely abandoned the social aspect of governance, which is to regulate the standards and lives the standards of living of his population. When a government say, okay, a Cameroonian, we put 46,000 like the minimum salary of our citizens. It means that with that 42,000, he can meet up with the minimums of living. But in our case, it's not, because first and foremost, we see that it is impossible to have a one-room house for less than 20K. Less than 20,000 is very difficult. But if the government, who doesn't have social accommodations, believes that with 46,000 a Cameroonian can live, it is just lack of consideration or lack of humanity. Because when you are human, the first project of a human government is the social care, the social aspect. That means that covers accommodation, a right to the right to eat, the right to for health, and many other things. But when you give 46,000 CFA to a Cameroonian, and you think that he can use this 46,000 to cure himself if he's sick, to pay transportation, to pay for house rents, we understand that the government have never thought of a social program, right? So, as we were talking, when you want to have a one-room house in Cameroon, let's say in Yaoundé, Douala, Boya, you need to, if you want to have a clean one-room house that is manageable, or that you can live there, you need to prepare at least 40K. You need to prepare 40,000, and this 40,000, which is already the minimum salary of a Cameroonian. So, what we are working on it, we are working in such social program in such a way that we will set balance between the citizens and between the social between the citizens related to the social aspect of living. That means it is not acceptable that in a country where a minimum salary is 46,000, they rent a one-room flat for 40,000. The government have to look about it. It doesn't matter if it is a government social accommodation or it's a private social accommodation, but the government have to regulate. Because how can the government accept that a private should impose, right, for a citizen to pay 40,000 for a one-room house and ask for 1 year advance
plus caution?
Plus caution. Where is it getting the money from? You see, so that is why we all see that the government have failed in the aspect of social protection or social care. You understand? So that's why we think that reconstructing Cameroon, the social program is the base, because the social program is what give the ignite people to look to plan, right, for a better future. Because how can you think that you can work for 10 years but you don't have any saving? You don't save any money. Are you a slave or what? I think we are becoming slave in Cameroon, because why is the reason to work if you cannot save money for a better future? It is just what we call bad governance and lack of considerations to his citizens.
Okay, we'll be coming back to you, Mr. Frank Heavy, of the Jeunesse Patriotique. Mr. Prince, he has raised a very important issue about the aspect of social, how the social framework in which that the government doesn't prioritize the social framework of its citizens. And now we are looking at the context where a bag of rice currently in the market is 29,000, 30,000, depending on how much bag. In the least case is 29,000. In other nations like in Nigeria, you see opposition parties who come up and will form an alliance. First, not just to ask the government, but also to talk about the increase in prices and start mounting pressure for government to see that the citizens have at least a reduction of prices. But what is happening in Cameroon? As prices keep increasing, where very few parties have actually come out to speak about this issue.
Mr. Tah Mai Jarvis, political parties in Cameroon have been speaking. They have been speaking on the increment of the high increment in prices of goods and services. They have been speaking. The issue that we have a government that doesn't listen, and the people that have the responsibility to manage us as of now, they don't want to learn. They think because they had the opportunity to be, as we say in French, poète aux affaires, they had an opportunity to be to power now. So they have the sole responsibility to think on everything on Cameroonians. Tah Mai Jarvis, what is happening in this country is as a result of bad governance and the long stay of Mr. Biya in power. When a president stays in power for 42 years, what do you think? They have given us all type of names: communal liberalism, greater ambitions, greater realizations. I think we are now we are on greater opportunities. I don't, you know, where are the opportunities? Each state, as President Frank Eve was saying, each state is being built based on the social aspect, and when we talk about the social aspect, going with the culture of a particular people. That is the way each state is being built. Look at the state of China. Look at the peculiarity with the Chinese state. If you go to China, you will study in English. You must not study, if you go to China, you must not study in Chinese.
In Mandera. Exactly.
It is the way they built their state. But while studying in English, you must be adapted to the Chinese culture. You must be adapted to the Chinese culture. That is the way people think.
Just to cue you in China, nobody owns a land permanently. You have approximately, the government identify people, indigenous people at a particular area, build one big skyscraper, and now give each family a flat. After a certain maximum 100 years, after 100 years, they demolish the entire, relocate people to somewhere else, build.
That is what.
That means to what you are talking about, the social housing.
That is what we are saying. That there is no clear, social policy. There is no clear defined social policy in Cameroon. Tah Mai Jarvis, go to Yaoundé. You see, Yaoundé is like we live, but in a pigsty. In a pigsty.
Yeah, we have it.
Tah Mai Jarvis, we have been traveling out of. We have been traveling out of the country.
No, but you cannot say we have.
For example, when you go to Kigali and come back in this country, it's like you have come back to the village. No, you cannot
say that because we have a minister delegate that tells us that the roads in Yaoundé are good.
I am talking under the governance of Mr. Frank Eve. Leaving Carrefour Mek to Education, that is passing through Mokolo, it's a hell.
So are you saying
we're talking about the central town in Yaoundé?
Yeah, but the minister Momo Deji said that there was nothing wrong.
No, you are calling the name you are calling is a comedian, please. I know we are honestly we don't deal with comedians here. Mr. Tah Mai Jarvis, we are here to educate Cameroonians.
Yes, I know. I just
for Cameroon, because your question. We are looking at the increment in prices. How Cameroonians are being frustrated with this increment in the high cost of living, and how a Cameroonian should be aware so that in 2025 we should change the regime and take another option for us to see how. Let me tell you, the Union for Reconstruction, which Lobatonia Keremuna is a flag bearer. I think MP Jeunesse Patriotique is also a member of that coalition. It is being built on, it will stand on, I beg your pardon, on 8 pillars. And those 8 pillars, the social aspect is a priority. It's one of the big pillars.
We are even reducing the 8 pillars to 3 pillars and put more equities on each pillar.
Exactly. That is the way we want to build this country, on those pillars. On those pillars. The first communication was 8 pillars. Yes. Now they are working on to see how they can reduce it on. Thank you very much for
build
that. More every pillar will have its branches and its houses on how Cameroon shall be built. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that the social aspect of a country is being defined by politicians, by the political governance of that country. And now if you go to Paris, if you go to l'Elysee, has become a touristic site. When they were building it, they were already looking at the social aspect of it, how it will attract. If you go to the United States of America, the White House has become a touristic and you can cite many cases. You made mention of I made mention of China. Do you know, even in Paris, in France, the social housing is well defined in a way where the government has an upper hand in building of houses in Paris. Yes. I believe President Frank Eve can attest to that. But what is happening in Cameroon is because we have politicians, or those whom maybe because of one reason or the other had the opportunity to manage this country, but don't have the capacity to think so as to give Cameroonians the best type of social maybe amenities that they need. We are talking of, it's not only about the increment in prices of goods and services.
Yeah.
How about roads?
Yeah.
How about electricity?
Gradually, but you just made mention about the aspect of road there. Yeah. I was saying that we have a minister delegate in Yaoundé in the government, a senior official, because minister delegate is a senior official, that tells us that there is no problem of roads in Yaoundé. That Yaoundé is fine. You are in Yaoundé. Is he lying? I
said the person that you are referring to is a comedian. This time, Tah Mai Jarvis, we should be very frank. And no, he is a comedian
by your definition.
Yes, he's a. What you have just said is a farce. It's a parody.
Mr. Jarvis,
and we live in the same country.
Mr. Jarvis, I would like to talk about this road issue and what Minister Jean de Dieu Momo said about roads. He says that we in Yaoundé is like Paris.
Yes.
Yeah. But the problem is that he said this thing in front of journalists, right? I think you journalists, you are living what the French people are calling laisser aller, because the only thing that you people could have done, you could have put pressure to Minister Momo, invite him with cameras in the city to show him the gravity of bad roads in the city of Yaoundé and in Douala. Not only, let's just talk about these two cities, right? So sometimes we allow things to pass.
Journalists are accomplices. No. Some journalists. No. You see, Tah Mai Jarvis. No, the issue is that journalists will not always love that they should be at.
Journalists is not to interview. You understand? But
to the field
is to prove facts.
Yeah, but when he said that, a lot of us and many media organs quickly had programs on roads where we showed a lot of the images of roads.
No, you need to carry him, invite
you cannot force Minister Momo.
The way you invite him to come and protect the gravity of bad roads in Mondo Vision, I think that is the same way you need to invite
No,
him.
when he said the press conference,
understand?
when he said that, immediately there was a reporter from all media organs where that same week it was an issue of roads. Media were just flooding. We took the media TV to his harm, let him watch. So you cannot accuse journalists of doing
No,
things.
I'm not accusing. I'm just saying that
You cannot say we are journalists.
I am
allowed
saying
to
that
do
some
it.
journalists are
It was
accomplices.
accurate,
That's what I'm
right?
saying.
To invite him to see, to move around the city, so that you can show him more or less.
But
how-
Mr. Heavy,
Yeah.
did a journalist invite Martin Bagangele before he could actually see the road?
You know,
Must we invite Mumu?
yes, you know, I don't know what happened to Martin Bangangele because he have been in power for long. So I don't know what happens to him for him to denounce bad roads. Bad roads is not a news in our country. Bad roads has always killed people in Cameroon.
I think the reason why he denounced was
So-
because he lived the reality. Exactly.
You understand? Because now, more or less, they try to fill the whole spot in
The potholes.
the potholes in the highway Douala Yaoundé. But I think during that period it was not practicable, the road. So I think that when we are talking about a social policy, do you know, in every country in the world, social policy is presidential. It's presidential because when the population votes for a president, is for him to organize the social well-being
Yes.
Of its
of
population.
his population. But in our context, it's quite different. You understand? How will you talk building an industry in a village where there is no roads? You understand? How will you talk about paying somebody 40 for adding a minimum
50,000.
salary, Smith, for 46,000 if somebody cannot have a house for 10,000? You see, the social policy has failed.
Even to talk less of going to the hospitals. Hospitals are damn expensive.
Not only that the hospital are damn expensive, but even if you raise the money, are you safe? That's the problem.
Now, Mr. Heavy, how do we understand this? That road issue, the issue of road is terrible. That it took the Minister or Delegate of National Security, Lope de la Police, to talk about it. Mr. Prince Epie just made mention that oppositions have been talking, but maybe they haven't been talking enough. As we see opposition in different countries talk, like here you see coalition of political parties who actually come together and write a strong message. The same thing in Ghana, the same thing in Kenya. In Kenya in June, the same thing. But in Cameroon, when he said they are talking, probably maybe a handful are talking, or is it that the political parties are afraid?
No, you know that most countries have understood the art of success, or the art the success. In our context in Cameroon, we are mostly acting individually, which is very wrong. You know, it's very wrong because to build a wealthy company, you need to bring partners. A multinational companies, they have at least 100 to up to 1,000 shareholders. So, if in Cameroon we refuse to look at things squarely, looking at things squarely is that we have to collaborate. It doesn't matter what political party we belong, right? We need to collaborate and work together. In the that are in charge to talk with other political parties and civil society to form a single platform where we can carry a single project, a project of reconstruction. So it is really important for us to be together. The importance of collaboration. That's why they create G20, they create how they call it, many OG, RDPC and all this. They know that they have to build to structure, right?
A strong coalition.
A strong coalition to make their system work. Even if the result doesn't satisfy us, the population, but at least they understood that if we have this person, if we have that person, we can do something together. And that is why the political parties today have to do. They have to understand that if we are real opposition, we have to come together. Sit down, at least sit down and talk. You understand? Sit down and talk and look face to face. When I say sit down and talk, I doesn't mean that we have to go and sit in a restaurant, talk and wipe our mouth as if we have never talked. You understand? We really need to sit down and look Cameroon in the perspective of change, in the perspective of reconstructing.
Okay.
You understand? So it is quite important. That is why Batonia Kerimuna found it necessary to create this commission that will work with other political parties to make sure that we can have the same perspective of seeing as thing, even if we have different concepts, but the major concept today is Cameroon.
Yeah.
You understand? The major concept is Cameroon. How can we come together? How can we plan to build a strong nation? How can we plan to fight against corruption? How can we plan to build to fight against public investments? How can we plan to do this, to do that? Share ideas and put a strategy on a strategy that will work with a development concept. So that is it.
Okay.
So that's why people are always doubting that it is working in Senegal, it is working here, it is working in China, it is working in Nigeria, but why is it not working here? It's because we have been trained with the spirit of division. We have been trained to be individualist, and it is difficult for an individualist, somebody that have been trained that he can survive alone. He can even survive without the government.
Yeah.
He can even survive even without his brother. He can build a company and survive. That's even why you will see they are creating companies every day and companies are closing every day. It's because Cameroonian doesn't understands that to have a strong company, you need to bring people
together
that have the technical know-how, the experience. Another one have the public relation. Another one have the budget, how to find it, to bring the budget in. Another one know how to market that is why a coalition is needed. A coalition is not needed because we need masses. A coalition is put to place because we need strategic people
and ideas
from different points of view. You understand?
Okay. So
that is it.
Prince Epierre, let's look at now the issue of this coalition. We are in November, and so with 1 month to go for 2025, and also with 8 months to go. How ready are opposition ahead of 2025, and why are other oppositions still lagging behind to come to the coalition?
The Union for Reconstruction is ready. This union, or this coalition, let me put it this way, has more than 28 political parties and civil society organizations. We did not only limit ourselves there, we also went ahead to consult also statesmen whom have a revered background. We can make mention of Barrister Agobala, who is also Agobala. We also saw Eric Chinje, maybe. We also saw Sama Gordon. You know the name I'm calling. So people are adhering to this coalition, and this coalition is coming at a point in time where many Cameroonians have been asking, why is it that opposition political parties and civil society organizations cannot come together? So we are now together, but as Cameroonians know, we still have some other opposition political parties who think that maybe they can still continue with the division, but we think that as time goes on, we shall continue with consultations to see how we can explain to them, for them to adhere to this union for reconstruction, because as of now we think that what we are proposing is one of the best thing that Cameroonian can accept. It all came from maybe the popular. In an editorial, you made mention that the Popular Action Party started with the ideology of an alliance for an Anglophone candidate, which was a resolution that we took in our national convention until the president.
I watched the interview of Jean Denis when he was talking about that. Unfortunately, I was not physically present in the convention. I had something to do in Yaoundé that same day, but he said the party is ready. He's representing the party for 2025, but will remain open for a coalition that will bring in an Anglophone president.
I coordinated that event in Boya. Yes, so we invested in Jean Denis to go for negotiations. You can bear witness. We invested him to go for negotiation with other sister political parties and civil organizations to see how they can come up with a platform, a coalition. And our own ideology was that we needed an Anglophone candidate, because we thought it is time. It is our ideology. We thought it is time for a Cameroonian coming. I repeat, people should not misquote the Popular Action Party. We are saying that a Cameroonian who is coming from the geographical area of Cameroon, which is the English-speaking part of the country, because we think that since reunification in 1961, it has been our brothers from the French-speaking part of the Mongo who have managed, who have been at the head of this country, been at the head of the management of this country. It is no news that President Amadou Ahidjo was in power for 22 years. If we relate it to 1958, that he came to power in French Cameroon, it means that he was in power for 25 years.
When he took over from André
Marin as prime minister in 1958, and when independence was granted to French Cameroon on the 1st of January 1960, he became naturally the president of French Cameroon. And during reunification, which came as a result of the plebiscite of the 11th of February 1961, he continued the inheritance as the president of the Federal Republic of Cameroon, of which John Gunfoncha became the vice president. Now, his mandate ended on the 4th of November 1982, and President Biya was his constitutional successor. Took over on the 6th of November 1982, and he has been in power now for 42 years. So we think that it is also time that somebody who is coming from that part of Cameroon to be the management of this country, so that it can go a long way also to appease maybe the minds of those who think that this country should part ways. So we think that to bring everybody on board, it is time for us to have the other side of the feeling of the country, and also for the minority English-speaking part of this country to feel belonging in this union. So we think that a Cameroonian coming from that area is Le Bâtonnier Akeremuna, because as of now he is the one that has that we see that he has all the the legal standing, he has the charisma, he has the international reputation, he has there is nothing that this country can hold him responsible. He has defended this state with all through his all the interests of this state all through his life. With the recent matter, which is the Glencore case. So we think that as of now, he has that capability. And don't forget that he's also well exposed internationally, because that is one big criteria too for somebody of that magnitude to become a president of a country should to be chosen. So we of the Popular Action Party think that the other political parties should also see how they can rally behind this platform that we put in place, so as for us to affront the common enemy, which is the people that are managing this country today, that have failed Cameroonians for so long.
When you look at the current landscape, political landscape of Cameroon, you will see that it is heavily divided. And the division, you talk about the coalition. That some parties are still hesitant. They say they think that they can win an election without a coalition. How possible is that to win an election in this country right now without a coalition?
Let me just maybe before present just 30 seconds. The person of the opposition or of any coalition who has an endorsement as of now with of a jural endorsement is Lobatone Akeremuna. The other platforms also come up with maybe their candidates and show a clear proof of how they shall be endorsed. Please let us not take Cameroonians for fools. That is what I wanted to add.
Yes. During our round table with all the political parties that joined the Union for Reconstruction, we come to agree that we stand for President Akerimuna, not because he's just an Anglophone. It's because he's a quality candidate, a quality Anglophone candidate. Because we doesn't just go behind him just because he's an Anglophone. We go behind him because he's a quality leader. He's somebody, a person of caliber, a person that can reconstruct, a person that have the feeling to give the power back to the people. You understand? So we have discussed and we agree that he should be our candidate because he have that charisma to be to organize a transition. You understand what I mean? So now, in the other side, when a politician or a political party believes that he can go alone, he can go solo to win the elections, I think that he doesn't really understand what is the reality and what a collaboration can do. I don't know if people are looking into foreign politics like in many other countries, and we have been talking with many other countries that have had long-term presidents ruling their country. In most of the cases, only coalitions have sorted out the issue. You understand? Only coalition can sort out the issue, because our coalition, when we are talking about an Anglophone candidate, people would think that we are just all Anglophones that are behind him. We have people of caliber from the south of Cameroon, from the littoral, from the north, from the northwest, from the central. We have people that are coming from everywhere. We don't want to tribalize politics. We want to open the game so that everybody can come in. At least I think that everybody can pick a grain that he can be capable to polish. You understand? So it is really important, and Cameroonians have to know this, to organize, to alliances, to organize coalitions, to come together. And I think that is the wish of most Cameroonians, because when I'm a man of the terrain, a man of the field, when we are talking with Cameroonians, their only focus point is, why are you people not coming together?
Yes, that's the common call even on social media. Yes.
People are calling us to come together. If you want to go for the presidential election for the people, you have to hear the calls of the people. The calls of the people is that we need change, and you people should come together to give us that sustainable change.
Yeah, that's what has been on social media, where Cameroonians are asking the question, why not coming together? Why is it difficult? Now, President Pobia will be this 6th of November this year, made him 32 years in power.
42 years in power.
42 years in power, rather. 42 years in power.
He has going to 42 years. So
he's 42 years. And in February 13th next year, it will make him 92 as his official age. Now, if he wins the mandate, he has 7 years to his mandate.
So he'll be 100 years.
No, you add the 7.
100 years old, and then they add the 7.
You add, he's 92 now. No, next year he'll make 92. You add the 7-year mandate. If he wins, he will go to 99 years.
Listen, Tah Mai Jarvis, I am one of those who think that President Biya should take a rest. I'll tell you why. Why should he take a rest? But first of all, we are not afraid for President Biya being a presidential candidate of his political party. Yeah. No, that's not what he can be, the candidate of his party. We are not. But I think that maybe he should go and rest. Do you know that President? Let me say a brief history. President Biya started working in this country at the age of 29. At the age of 29, that is in 1962, he was appointed chargé de mission at the Ministry of Education, Culture and Sports in 1962, chargé de mission. After he had worked for about 8 months, he further went back to France on a scholarship, which he came back in 1963, and he was decorated by Amadou Ahidjo and was promoted in that same ministry in 1963 as the director of civil cabinet at the Ministry of Education, Sports and Culture. And then after, in 1965, he was made the Secretary General, working under Tekin Boma. From there, he with the recommendations that were being given by his boss, who was Tekin Boma, he was called at the presidency as the director of civil cabinet at the presidency in 1965. In 1967, he cumulated the two functions. He was appointed with a minister with a portfolio in 1967, being the director of civil cabinet and the director of civil cabinet and the secretary general at the presidency under President Amadou Ahidjo. In 1968, he was made a minister of. He was separated from the two functions and made and still reappointed as a secretary general at the presidency. In 1970, he was made a minister of state. And do you know that in 1972, it is President Biya today who treated the question of the referendum as the then minister of state secretary general at the presidency, the 1972 referendum. For him to be compensated for a job well done, he was appointed prime minister in 1970. He was appointed prime minister in 1975. I'm giving you a parcours of President Biya. Why I think that he should go and rest. So he went from one post to another in leadership. Today, how many Cameroonian youths can have that type of parcours, beginning from their from their 20s, going from one position of leadership to another?
In Botswana, we just recently watched how a 23-year-old is the Minister of Culture, Youth.
And Tah Mai Jarvis, after 1972, the Anglophone problem came. After 1972, the Anglophone problem came, and President Biya was the head of the commission the ad hoc committee to bring solutions, yes, to resolve Dr. Nchupichem and Dr. Achoy. Now, I don't want to go I don't want to take my casket as a historian to come to the report that Biya gave to President Amadu Ahijo. To come to the report. But I would think that for those who can read the lines, they will know that the report that President Biya gave to President Amadu Ahijo came to pass in 1984 when he unilaterally changed the name of the United Republic of Cameroon to a decree touching Article 1 of the Constitution of the United Republic of Cameroon to La République du Cameroon. I think that is where
the name at independence.
That is where not the name at the name that came.
That they came at
the name that came at reunification was the Federal Republic of Cameroon.
No, you are not understanding. I'm saying that the name that the French Cameroon had at independence.
Exactly, the Republic of Cameroon.
Yes.
I don't want to come into that logic, but I just want to give you like, for example, many people don't know the Ambazonia movement was baptized in 1985 by Fongoji Dinka. He baptized Ambazonian because he challenged Biya in 1984 when he unilaterally changed the constitution, and in 1985 he baptized the Ambazonian movement. Now, enough of that, but I just wish to say that in 1989, because I want to still trace the parcours of Biya, in 1989, the United Republic of the Constitution of the United Republic of Cameroon was changed, was amended, that in the case of a vacancy of the president of the republic, the prime minister becomes the heir to the throne, of which it was to be the president of the National House of Assembly. Do you know? Which at the time was Solomon Tandem Muna, the father of Lobatonye Akere Muna. And in 1982, Biya Ahijo resigns and who becomes the president? In 1982, 4 November 1982, President Biya becomes the president. Prime Minister becomes the president. That is the parcours of President Biya. And now, after he has had that excellent parcours, being the president of the from one step to another in leadership, he decides to hijack power for 42 years.
The Prime Minister now is no longer.
He decides to hijack power for 42 years and killed the destiny of the youths. Look at today, the president of
who is saying that killed the
destiny of the youth. How many youths today are in the leadership? The president of the National Assembly is of his age group. The president of the Senate is nowhere to be found. We know is nowhere to be found. He's the same person from the same age group. The president of the Constitutional Council, the president of the Economic Council, and we can name and name. Most of these people who are ministers today, they were ministers at their early age of the 30s. What is the problem that the youths of today cannot take over the helm of this country? So we think, Tah Mai Jarvis, that it is time for President Biya to rest and see how Cameroonian youths, whom may be out of frustration, can see how they can have a reconstruction of this country.
But the youth is a state of mind, as we were told by one leader, by President Biya.
All those are comedians. All those who say so, they are comedians. When you are in your youthful age, I'm getting old already, Tah Mai Jarvis. I'm more than 40. I'm getting old. We need to change the destiny of this country so that I have 5 children. I need to see my children grow in a good environment, and also grow in a way where there will be equitable opportunities for them. If they go to public concourse, they should write and maybe have if they want to have the capacity also to pass, if they go out of the country, they want to come and invest their money, a dual nationality should not block them. It should not block them. We want to see that country where there will be a good and emergent one under reconstruction.
President Heavy, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Maybe your last message to Cameroonians.
Yeah, my last message to Cameroonians is that, I'm not one of those people that believe that it should be a political program. The most important thing is to be an effective and a quality governance. One of the positive thing that I saw with Batonia Keremona is that he is managing to surround people around him, young people around him, young dynamic people around him. Because the problem is not to have people around here, is to have people that will implement or that will bring a positive result of the policy that you want to implement. So as the leader of the Union for Reconstruction, I think that Batonia Keremona is a quality leader, because when you are looking on the perspective of what he's trying to do and people that he wants to put around him, you'll understand that he is doing a casting of hard workers that can really help him implement the reconstruction program that we are putting under the 8 pillars that will be solely brought down to 3 major pillars.
Thank you for coming.
It's always a pleasure, Tah Mai Jarvis, being on the House of Commons. It's always a house for the common people. I'm elated. Thank you very much for inviting me. Just to call on all Cameroonians to remember that on the 3rd of January, there will be the relaunch of the electoral register, and as of now we have 8,800,000 already registered voters, and that as from the 3rd of January they should go get registered massively, so that at least we should attain 12 million. And they should note that in the last election in 2018 it was just 3 million Cameroonians that voted, and this time around they should register and make sure they vote, and then also make sure that they defend their votes. Thank you very much, Tah Mai Jarvis. It was a pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Desmond. It has been a very difficult production today. Alan, it has been a very difficult production today. I want to thank you both for your expertise on making sure that the production actually runs on smoothly, and as it is often said, it is the end that matters. I want to thank all those of you who have been watching the program today, and also happy Sunday to you, Anang Dorothy. Happy Sunday to you, Neng Lupo, and my people from Moyaka, Godlove Abeng. Happy Sunday to all those of you who are watching us from Moya, and also those who are watching us from the different parts of the world. And tell you that the program will rebroadcast this evening at exactly 10:30 p.m. You have a rebroadcast of this same program. It will be on our YouTube channel, BT Media Group YouTube channel, or My Media Prime YouTube channel. Any of them, any of those addresses you type, you will get the program there. And the program comes up every 12 o'clock to 1:30 p.m. Today, exceptionally, we had a lot of technical hitches. Hopefully that it will be resolved, and we ended up well. Until we meet again, I leave you with this: no matter the matter, what matters is your matter. And what should matter for you this time is that you should go get ready to register for the election come January 3rd, because a presidential election is around the corner. My name is Tah Mai Jarvis on Cameroon Commercial Capital, Douala. Until we meet again, stay out of trouble. Bye-bye.